All right, so the highly anticipated Noel Maitland, Constable Noel Maitland murder trial, it began last week, Tuesday, May 13, in the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston. So after a 7-member jury was empaneled, the trial got underway. So the prosecution in the case indicated that the trial is expected to last 8 to 10 weeks, and over that period, more than 30 witnesses will give testimony in court, whether in person or remotely via video link. So Constable Noel Maitland is on trial for 1, murder, and 2, for preventing the lawful burial of a corpse. And this is in relation to the death of his girlfriend, Donna-Lee Donaldson. Donna-Lee was an entrepreneur, and she was also a social media influencer. Donna-Lee was last seen alive around the 12th of July 2022 at the apartment complex in St. Andrew where Constable Maitland lived. This is the Chelsea Manor apartments in New Kingston. So prosecutors are trying to prove their case that Mr. Maitland was responsible for unaliving Donna-Lee Donaldson. So even though they don't have a body to prove definitively that yes, this is the body of Donna-Lee Donaldson who they say was killed by Noel Maitland, they have a lot of evidence that leads them to believe that she was in fact killed somewhere around the 12th of July 2022 and the 13th. And her body was disposed of around that time in which she was killed, and her body disposed of within that period. Alright, so last week the case started off with her mother, Sophia Lugg, as the first witness on the stand. So how it worked: so the prosecution did their examination in chief, basically to lay the foundation of the case, asked the mother some questions to which gave answers, I would say, to the best of her ability. As the prosecutors outlined, the burden is on them to prove Maitland's guilt in the matter. They said that the case is based on circumstantial evidence, and although there may not be a direct eyewitness, the evidence is enormous in the case and points out that Donna-Lee was killed and her body disposed of in an illegal manner. Alright, so Prosecutor began asking questions of Sophia Lugg, Donna-Lee's mom, just to lay the foundation, as I said before. Yes, so Miss Lugg told the court that up to the time of her disappearance and death, Donna-Lee lived with her at her home in St. Andrew. She lived with other siblings as well. The mother pointed out that Donna-Lee is her third child. So the mother told the court that Donna-Lee operated her own business, and she also worked with a United States call center from home as a customer service rep. She also operated an online business. Mother said how it works, or how it worked, is that Donna-Lee would get orders for swimwears online, and she would, go out and do deliveries. So on July 11, 2022, Miss Lugg said that she was home all day on July 11, 2022, and she recalled that it was a Monday. And she pointed out that Donna-Lee was home throughout the day, as she was sleeping for basically the entire day, from morning till night. The day before was Donna-Lee's birthday, which was July 10th. And she apparently, took part in the Carnival Road March. Yes, so, because of her participation in the Carnival Road March, the mother said she was tired and was sleeping all day the following day on the 11th. But at some point in the night, at around 10:30 p.m., 10:30, 11 o'clock, Donna-Lee left home, right? Prior to leaving home, she was sleeping on her mom's leg. Then her phone rang. The mother claimed that she wanted to turn down the phone. She was reaching for the phone to turn off the phone or whatever. And when she looked at the phone, she saw Noel's name come up on the phone. Her thing was that she wanted to turn off the phone because she knew her daughter was tired. Right? But somehow Donna-Lee woke up and she answered the call from Noel. After talking to Noel, the mother said Donna-Lee started to fix her face and her hair, and she proceeded to walk outside. So apparently Noel came to pick her up, based on what the mother said last week. The mom said Donna-Lee said something to her and she didn't respond. But what she did was follow Donna-Lee outside to see who she was leaving with. She was dressed in a black casual romper. And she had on black slippers, according to Miss Lugg. She said when she got to the gate, Donna-Lee went into Noel Maitland's car. So this is on the 11th, the night of the 11th of July 2022. Miss Log said that prior to the 11th day of July 2022, she knew Noel, and she knew him as a friend of her daughter for almost 3 years. So he was a friend of basically 3 years. She told the court that she met Noel at her home when Donna-Lee came home one evening with him, or he brought her home. At that point, he was sitting in his car, his black BMW, as explained by Miss Lug. At that point, she said she didn't say hi to him, and it took a couple days or so before they start saying hello to each other. Yes, so she said that Noel would usually refer to her as Mum after they started, speaking to each other and, basically getting familiar with each other and things. So she highlighted that at one point early in 2022, she got sick. And at the time, she was in Los Angeles in the United States. She told the court that she would correspond with Noel on the phone, and he would say like, "Mom," encourage her to take her medication and so on, right? Yeah. So going back to the 11th day of July 2022, Miss Lug said that when Donna-Lee walked to the gate, she really wanted to make, the reason she walked behind her is because she wanted to make sure she saw who exactly Donna-Lee was leaving with. She said when she went out there, Noel was sitting in the driver's seat of the same black BMW, his car. Mother told the court that maybe about twice or so per week, he would come and pick up Donna-Lee in the hours of the night, usually around 11 o'clock, 11:30, around those times. And he usually would pick her up in the same black BMW. So Miss Lug said she didn't see Donna-Lee again that night after she and Noel left. According to her, usually when Noel comes to pick her up, she would return the following morning. So on the morning of the 12th of July 2022, Miss Lug said she spoke to Donna-Lee on the phone. Donna-Lee called her and asked her to feed her dog, her mixed breed, poodle, called China. After she fed the dog, she said she was just there waiting on Donna-Lee to come home. But Donna-Lee didn't come home. She tried calling her phone multiple times, and the phone just rang. Donna-Lee didn't answer. She said it was just ringing. and it went to voicemail. So the last time she spoke to her was sometime around after 8 a.m. on the 12th of July 2022, when she called her and asked her to feed China. That's the dog. Miss Lug said that she wanted to go to the doctor as she was feeling sick. So she tried to call Donna-Lee sometime after 4 p.m. She said the reason for calling Donna-Lee was because Donna-Lee was the only one who would usually take her to the doctor. But the phone was just ringing without an answer. All she did was just, in her sick state, she was just there waiting for Donna-Lee to return her call, as she normally would. She said she waited for about 3 hours, and she still didn't hear anything from Donna-Lee. At about 7 p.m., she tried calling. She said she tried to call the phone again, or she called the phone, Donna-Lee's number again. Apparently this time though, it didn't ring. It just went straight to voicemail. So after she spoke to Donna-Lee at 8 a.m. on the 12th of July 2022, Miss Lug said she never spoke to her daughter ever again. On the 13th of July 2022, Miss Sophia Lug continued to call her daughter's phone. She still no answer. Nobody answered. Went straight to voicemail again. She pointed out that sometime after 10 in the morning of the morning of the 13th of July 2022, she received a call from Noel Maitland. According to Miss Lug, Maitland would call her phone sometimes when he's trying to call Donna-Lee and not getting through. Right? And she said that sometimes he would call her phone as well just to check up on her, to see how she's doing, because he was aware of her health condition. She told the court that from time to time, he'd call her and say, "Mom, how you feeling?" And he would check up on her and so on. And at one point, even while she was away, she was overseas, he called her, running a little joke and thing, telling her to bring back a phone for him. But the phone he said he wanted was so expensive that she just knew he was joking, So on the morning of the 13th now, when Noel called Miss Lug, she said he asked her if she had heard from Donna-Lee. She was puzzled because she was wondering. She said her response was, "What sort of question is that, Noel?" Because as far as she is concerned, Donna-Lee left with him the Monday night, right? And he would normally bring her back home. So she couldn't understand why he was asking her this. So she claimed that he asked her to calm down and explained to her that he and Donna-Lee had a little dispute and it was nothing big. But she got upset and he also was upset. And she left. As in, she left the house. So as a concerned mom, she said she asked him, what do you mean? What do you mean that she left? Was it a taxi that came for her, or did somebody else come for her? What was the situation? How did she leave the place? She claimed that he said he didn't know because he was too upset. Miss Love said that she then told him that the apartment has cameras, so he needs to check the cameras at the apartment because she wanted to know who took her daughter from the apartment. According to her, Noel agreed, telling her that she was right, and asked her to give him some time for him to check on that because he wasn't at the apartment at the time. Seeing? So that was basically what took place on day one of the trial. Alright, so Wednesday, May 14, 2025 was day 2 of the Noel Maitland murder trial in the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston. So Sophia Lugg, who is the mother of Donna-Lee Donaldson, returned to the witness stand as prosecutors continued examination in chief, continuing to lay the foundation of the case and so on. So the situation is that Donna-Lee Donaldson, who is an entrepreneur, social media influencer, she was believed to have been murdered by her boyfriend, Constable Noel Maitland, between the 12th of July 2022 and the 13th of July 2022, and her body unlawfully buried or disposed of. So this is what Noel Maitland is standing trial for. Alright, so day 2, she continued to give evidence of what she said happened on the 13th during a conversation between herself and Maitland regarding him checking security cameras at his Chelsea Manor apartment in New Kingston to see who took Donna-Lee from the apartment, because according to him he was too upset the day before, and she was upset and she left, and he didn't see who she left with. So the mother suggested that you need to check the cameras at the apartment. Alright? So on Wednesday last week now, she said when Noel called her back, he told her that he spoke with the camera people, and they told him that there were a lot of vehicles coming in and out of the complex, and the windows were all were wind up, so they weren't able to see who had taken Donna-Lee. The mother claimed that she told Noel that was stupid. She said it didn't make sense because cars. She in her opinion, this is her. These are her thoughts. That that doesn't make sense because the cars must have been stopped at the security point, when they are entering and exiting the place. So whoever is at the gate would have the opportunity to peek into the motor vehicle to see who is leaving or whatever the case is. According to her, Noel promised to call her back. And he did so in about 45 minutes later. But by this time, according to her, Maitland encouraged her and insisted that she file a missing persons report. She believed that why he was insisting that she go to the police was because he believed that something must have been wrong with Donna-Lee. According to her, Noel asked her which police station she was going to, and she told him that she would talk back to him. Sometime later, in about half an hour, she said Noel called her back. And by that time, she said she was convinced that something had happened to her daughter. So she decided to go to the station, the Half a Tree police station, because that was the nearest one to where her house is. And she went to the station with family members, quite a few of her relatives, and so on. She said when she got to the station, her phone rang, and it was Noel, Mr. Maitland, asking her which police station she decided to go. She told him that she was at Half a Tree, and she alleged that he said he would be there shortly. In a few minutes later, she said 5 minutes later, or thereabout, a silver car pulled up at the station. In the car was Noel and a female. Right? She said she was waiting by the entrance of the station office, to speak to a police who would take the statement from her regarding, her missing daughter. She said this was about 6 o'clock in the evening. The female passenger, she said who was the driver of the silver motor vehicle, she said Noel arrived in. According to Miss Lugg, she saw that person before. The first time was about 2 years before seeing her at the station on the 13th of July 2022. She said she knew that person to be Kathy Ann Smith? Yes, Kathy Ann Smith. So she said when she met her prior to that day, around 2 years before, Donna-Lee was there, because apparently Donna-Lee had gone to the station to make a report, and Kathy Ann Smith was the person responsible for taking the report. The mother said that report at the time had nothing to do with Noel Maitland, and that she had left her daughter in the room with the policewoman, with Kathy Ann Smith, and went outside. She said she left Kathy Ann and Donna-Lee talking. She claimed that while Kathy and Donna-Lee were talking, things got personal, and the topic was Noel Maitland. Yes, a fast fall. So going back now to the day of the 13th of July 2022 after 6 p.m. when Maitland arrived at the police station, right? There was an inspector, a female inspector, who began engaging Miss Lugg, taking her statement and so on. The inspector asked the necessary questions of Miss Lugg. Miss Lugg began to tell her when her daughter left home. And she told her that Maitland, who is her boyfriend, was the one who took her from home. According to Lugg, the inspector turned to Maitland and asked him what went down, what happened. According to Miss Lugg, Maitland told the inspector that Donna-Lee just left the apartment. The inspector asked him what time, and he said a little after 10. She asked him who picked her up from there, and he said he didn't know. This is the testimony of Miss Lugg. According to her, the inspector told Noel that, he has to come better than that, Come on, you know better than that. So right there and then now, Miss Lugg told the court that she said to the inspector that Donna-Lee's father had sent some money for her from the Bahamas and that the money was still at MoneyGram. She claimed that Maitland butted in at that time and said that he heard Donna-Lee talking to her father regarding this money that she was supposed to pick up. Yes. Miss Lugg recalled seeing Noel talking to her son. And while she was waiting to give the official statement, she was called inside an office by another police, this time a man, who called her in to give the statement. She went in and began the process of giving the statement. According to her, while she was giving the statement, she was interrupted by another of her daughters, right, who whispered something in her ears. And based on what she was telling Miss Lugg, based on what the daughter was telling Miss Lugg, she said she beckoned to the officer to go outside. Maitland, she said, came in the room where she and the officer were, and he told the policeman that the policeman taking the statement. He told the policeman who was taking the statement that he had to leave. According to Miss Lugg, the officer told Maitland that he couldn't go, he shouldn't leave because by that time he hadn't yet given his statement. But Noel told the officer that he would leave his contact number with him, so whenever he's ready to take the statement, he should call him. Miss Lugg claimed that Noel was moving very fast and that he seemed disturbed and in panic. So while she was giving the statement, she said there was another interruption. And this time it was another police who interrupted. That police who interrupted was showing the officer taking the statement something on his phone. The officer who was taking the statement asked Miss Log asked to be excused. And then he went to speak with the officer who brought the phone to him. The officer recording the statement came back and completed the process with Miss Log. While she was there finishing up the statement, she said that Maitland brought a phone to her attention. She said while she was talking to the inspector from earlier, Maitland had his phone in his hand, texting very fast. But she didn't know who he was texting or what he was saying in those text messages. When she completed the statement, she said she left the police station along with all the other people who had accompanied her there. Miss Log said that on the 26th of July 2022, an investigator from Indicom interviewed her. She said the investigator came to the house as part of the investigations. She took the investigator to Donna-Lee's room. When the investigator came to the house, the investigator swabbed Miss Log's mouth, according to her, and she also and a toothbrush was also taken from Donna-Lee's room. Yes, so Miss Log pointed out that in 2019, Donna-Lee visited China. This is the country now, China, and not the dog. And she also went to Bahamas, but she didn't remember the year she went to Bahamas. All she remembered was that it was before she went to China. So these questions the prosecution asked, just to get a idea of, her patterns of traveling overseas and outside of Kingston and St. Andrew. So the mother said that she recalled Donna-Lee going to Montego Bay. I think it was for a weekend. Yeah. She also told the court that she knew a few friends of Donna-Lee. According to her, both herself and Donna-Lee shared a type of sister. So even though it's mother and daughter, apparently were so close. that the relationship was or seemed or would seem to anyone as a sister-sister relationship. She said Donna-Lee didn't take the bus when she was moving around, so she would get around by taxi or like a charter taxi. She would call a taxi company or a special taxi person to come and pick her up, but she didn't take the bus. During the same examination in chief, she told the court that Maitland came to her house or yard one time. She recalled once when Maitland came inside of her yard. She said she heard him, she was inside the house and she heard him shouting, Lee, Lee. And that is a name which he gave to Donna-Lee. According to her, Donna-Lee was in her room and got up from the couch and told her that, that basically she should tell Noel Maitland that she's not there. And then she went into her room, right? Miss Locke said she then got up and pulled her bedroom door and went out on the veranda. When she went out there, she said she saw Maitland pulling the grill to enter inside. Or, yes, to enter the premises or the house. According to her, she asked him if he had a warrant. And she said she asked him that because he was dressed in his police uniform. Log told the court that Maitland smiled and said, Mum, I know nothing, man. And he was there because he was calling Donna-Lee on the phone and she wasn't answering. And he knew that she was there at the house. Miss Locke said that Maitland was very calm. Shortly after Donna-Lee came out, and then the mother said she left them out there talking and went back inside her room. According to her, she had no idea what both of them were talking about because she didn't hear anything. The mother told the court that Donna-Lee Donaldson also went by the name Donna-Lee White. And when she became an adult, she became Donna-Lee Donaldson. White was her married name. That's the mother. Sophia Logue said she was married and White was her married name. But her husband, Mr. White, was not Donna-Lee's father. So that ended day 2 of the trial. Alright, so on day 3 of the trial last week, Thursday, May 15, 2025, Christopher Townsend, who is one of Noel Maitland's attorneys, cross-examined Sophia Logue, the mother of Donna-Lee Donaldson. So these things that Miss Logue would said at this point in time were based on questions asked by Townsend, who is defending Maitland. Yeah, so Miss Log explained that her daughter had operated two businesses. One of them was, you know, one of them had to do with delivering goods, and she reiterated that she had a job as well at a call center. Townsend asked her if her daughter would usually travel by taxi and which taxi companies she would use. Log explained that she would use On Time, El Shaddai, Safe Travel, and there was this specific taxi guy who she would normally call. If he's unavailable, she would try one of these services. Townsend asked her if she used a specific company called Travelers. And she said that she knew about Travelers, and Townsend asked her if she told the police about a specific taximan from that company, right? He asked her if she did good business, if her daughter did good business, and she explained that business was on and off, sometimes good, sometimes okay, so on and so forth. She explained that she would make deliveries maybe twice or three times per week, and that when she was making the deliveries, she would leave from home to go and do those deliveries. And she would use taxi services to accomplish that. Particularly as it relates to one of the businesses, I think it's called DeJourn. Yeah, let's just say one of the businesses operated by Donna-Lee. The mother said she was in business for about 2 years at the time. And she admitted to knowing that Donna-Lee promoted her business on Instagram, on the internet, and that she would sometimes model her, her swimwear products and lingerie. And she would appear on Instagram in swimwear and lingerie. Townsend asked her if she was aware that the entire public had access to her pages that she would model on. And the mother indicated that she was aware. Townsend asked her if Donna-Lee had ever complained about stalkers on the internet, or people who made uncomfortable sexual comments under her posts. And the mother said that she didn't. She said no, she didn't complain about that. Townsend asked Miss Lug if she was aware that her daughter was trying to have a baby with Mr. Maitland, and he also asked about miscarriages, and the mother said she wasn't aware of anything like that. Townsend asked Miss Lug if Donna-Lee had a passport, and she said yes. He asked her if the investigator from Indicom had asked for the passport. She said yes, but she could not produce it because, according to her, Donna-Lee left with the passport the night she was leaving to go out with, or the night she said her daughter was leaving to go out with Noel Maitland, or the night she went out with Noel Maitland. And that was on the 11th of July, 2022. Townsend asked her if Donna-Lee left the house with a bottle of Hennessy the night she was leaving, and the mother confirmed and said yes, and said the Hennessy was for Mr. Maitland, as far as she knew. So Townsend asked her if she spoke to Donna-Lee on the morning of the 12th of July 2022, and the mother said yes, about 8 a.m., and that other persons spoke to her after that. Mother said that even to this day, she still calls Donna-Lee's number, the same number she was calling on the 12th of July 2022. She has been calling that number ever since then. Townsend probed about the her log statement regarding the cameras at the apartment. She said that yes, she asked him about the cameras, and she told Townsend that she had never visited the premises, and that she doesn't know how the camera system is set up. She also said that she wasn't aware of the system at the complex, or the security procedures at the complex, and whether security guards were required to look into vehicles or make logs of vehicles entering and exiting the complex. According to the log, on the 13th, the morning of the 13th of July 2022, when Maitland had encouraged her or insisted that she report the matter to the police, she said she didn't report it right away. She waited until in the evening. She said when she went to the station in the evening, she went there with a lot of relatives. And at one point after Noel Maitland arrived at the station, he told the police that he had to go, and he was explaining to the officer that he should call him whenever it was time for him to give his statement. Townsend asked Miss Log whether she had gone outside when Maitland was outside talking to her son, if she had gone outside to see what was happening. According to her, she couldn't hear what her relatives were saying outside, right? She claimed that she wouldn't say that they were angry. When she actually went outside, she said what her opinion of how her relatives felt was one of sadness, that they were sad, and that she didn't believe or didn't think that they were expressing anger at Mr. Maitland, right? But anyhow, the policeman allowed Maitland to leave after collecting his number. she said that the day when Noel Maitland left the station, that's the same day of the 13th of July, the 13th of July, 2022. She said when Maitland left the station, she spoke to him the night. She spoke to him in the night when he went to her house. Apparently, she said he was upset with one of her nieces and was, basically telling the niece to stop calling up his name on social media. That same niece was also one of the family members who was at the police station, right? All right, so one day, Miss Lugg told Townsend that Noel Maitland's father, she took his taxi early last year, which is 2024, and he dropped her home, and that she spoke to him. Townsend asked her if she had said to Noel's father that she knew that it wasn't Noel who killed Donna-Lee, because he didn't have the guts to do it. The mother told the attorney that she said no such thing, and Townsend suggested that she was lying. According to Miss Lugg, it wasn't her who said those things to Mr. Noel Maitland's father, but that she claimed that Maitland's father said to her that he knew that that both of them knew that his son didn't kill her daughter. But if everybody should talk who did it, everybody would be dead, or all of us would be dead, And then she insisted that was what Noel Maitland's father told her in the taxi. As it relates to Kathy Ann Smith, Townsend asked Miss Lugg if she had told the police that Donna-Lee and Kathy Ann Smith had a physical altercation, and whether or not Kathy Ann had told her, Miss Lugg, that she would kill Noel and kill herself. Miss Lugg admitted that she told that to the police, and she also told the police that Miss Smith had told her that they had confiscated her firearm. And not only did they confiscate the firearm, but they also suspended her. Seeing? So Kathy Ann Smith is said to be a police, and she's also said to be the mother of Noel Maitland's child. So the prosecution started after Townsend finished or indicated that he had no further questions for the witness. The prosecution, started the process of re-examination. So, they asked a few questions just to clear up certain things. For example, whether or not she told the court that Donna-Lee used a specific taxi man and whether or not she indeed said Donna-Lee used 3 different taxi services if the special taximan was unavailable. As it relates to the Donna-Lee leaving with the passport, the mother explained that Donna-Lee left with the passport because that was her form of identification whenever she was going to collect money from her father, or money that was sent by her father. The prosecutor asked her why she keeps calling Donna-Lee's phone up to this day. According to Miss Lugg, she keeps calling the number because she hopes for a miracle, that a miracle would randomly happen and Donna-Lee would answer the phone. Yes, so after the re-examination, the next witness in the case was called. This next witness is, what you'd say, one of the closest friends to Donna-Lee, a friend of Donna-Lee. This is a young lady who explained that she is an ace petition, and makeup and so on and so forth and blah blah. She said she was a model and she made friends, which included Donna-Lee, and that they became friends in 2019. She said she knew Donna-Lee's mother, and she knew Donna-Lee's birthday was July 10. She said she went out on numerous occasions with Donna-Lee. In 2022, she said she went to a restaurant to celebrate, in celebration of Donna-Lee's birthday. And on Donna-Lee's actual birthday, which was July 10 in the year 2022, both of them went to the Carnival Road March. See? Yeah. She said she met Noel Maitland for the first time in about 2020. And then she said after that first meeting, she saw him again at a party that he put on, which she attended along with Donna-Lee. She told the prosecutor that she knows where Noel Maitland lived because she went there to pick up Donna-Lee from the apartment. So she drove in, and then she went upstairs, and it was just the 3 of them inside. Noel invited her inside and asked her if she wanted something to drink. According to her, because it was so early, she asked for water and she sat on the couch. She said Noel and Donna-Lee and herself were all talking. She and Donna, according to her, had a friendly banter, and Noel interjected and asked what she said that he said was that both of them were so close, and he wanted to know if they had done anything sexually together. She said she was uncomfortable, but she laughed it off, She laughed it off and started to get up, and told Donna-Lee that they were going to be late for wherever they were going, so they had to leave. According to her, she and Donna-Lee were very close. She described her as one of her closest friends. who she communicated with almost every day. Donna-Lee had 2 phones, according to the friend, and one phone was for calling, and the other was for social media. The last time she said she spoke to Donna-Lee was on Tuesday, July 12, 2022. She spoke to her the last time before that was on Monday. And then she said she spoke to her the Saturday before that. Both of them had made arrangements for the friend to collect money from Donna-Lee to make a payment on her behalf. What had happened, she explained, was that on Donna-Lee's birthday, there was some mishap with a bill at a restaurant, and some balance was left over. So, she had made arrangements with Donna-Lee to pick up the money after she collected the money from her father and basically sort out the situation with the bill at the restaurant on her behalf. She said she did not collect the money from Donna-Lee because she never heard from her again. This was on the 12th. She said that on the 13th, she said on the 13th of July 2022, she messaged Donna-Lee in the afternoon. She sent her a WhatsApp message, and the message only had 1 tick. After that, Donna-Lee's brother sent her a message on Instagram. Based on that conversation on Instagram, the friend said she called Maitland, Noel Maitland. And that wasn't the first time she was calling Maitland's phone, so she knew that it was Maitland's phone, or she was talking to Maitland, blah, blah, blah. According to her, Donna-Lee gave her the number, and they spoke on occasions prior to that. So the friend said no, that when Donna-Lee's brother contacted her on Instagram, she called Noel and asked him if he had seen Donna-Lee and when was the last time he saw her. The friend told her that the friend told the court that Maitland said, or she alleged that Maitland said that he was sleeping on a Tuesday and that Donna-Lee left his apartment to go and collect money from her father. He didn't see how she left and whether it was somebody who came and picked her up or it was just a taxi. She said she told him that she was going to call some mutual friends. She called about 4 of them. And then she called back Noel and told him that none of them had seen or heard from Donna-Lee. And that she was one of the last persons to have spoken to Donna-Lee. The friend claimed that Noel started to cry very loudly on the phone. In her opinion, he was taken aback. She said she was taken aback and confused. He said he was a policeman. She claimed that he said he was a policeman and that he knew how those kind of things usually go, and that he knew how these taxi men are and yada yada yada. At the time, she said she told him to remain positive, and that it was still pretty early. She claimed that after he stopped crying, he asked what they were going to do, what was the next move. And she in turn asked him what he thought they should do. According to her, she told Noel that she would call Miss Sophia Lug, who is Donna-Lee's mother, and have her file a missing persons report. At that point, she said Noel was crying really hard. Alright, so following the examination in chief of the second witness, a friend of Donna-Lee, Christopher Townsend, Noel Maitland's attorney, began to cross-examine the witness for a brief moment before court was adjourned until Monday, May 19.